Oh my god, that really is actually a lot of paperwork. Konnichiwa minasan, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Reina Scully, coming to you from Japan, and this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Just recently, my husband and I had to go renew his residency card, or Zaidu card, which is necessary for any foreign resident to be living in Japan legally. And as you can guess, it is quite a process, but you do get used to it, and it makes the process significantly quicker and smoother if you can gather all of your documents and prepare beforehand. So I thought I would dedicate this video to what you need to know and what documents you need to prepare in order to renew your Japanese permanent residency card. As an FYI, this process is specifically for foreign nationals that want to reside in Japan permanently and are married to a Japanese national. Other forms of visa applications and renewals are very different, so be mindful that what I am explaining is for a specific type of permanent residency in Japan. Basically, this is for American citizens that are married to Japanese nationals that want to live in Japan indefinitely. So in order to apply for an extension, you actually have to start the process 3 months beforehand. You cannot apply for an extension if your card lapses, so be very, very vigilant. Japan cares a lot if you are late to anything at all, and it will work against you when you reapply for your residency. Now, let's first talk about all the documents and applications you have to fill out and submit. This first one is called the application for extension of period of stay, and you can actually answer this entire thing in English. The applicant has to fill this out themselves. Then you have to fill out 2 sets of these questionnaires, one from the applicant and one from the spouse. And then your spouse, who is basically your guarantor, has to fill out this letter of guarantee. After you fill all of these out, you have to get the following documents from your city hall. The first one you're going to need is the family registry of the Japanese national, so basically your spouse, and this piece of paper is called koseki tohon. This is going to be a sheet of paper that has the seal of the city that you reside in, and it contains the information of your Japanese national's family. It should also include that you, the applicant, are the spouse of this Japanese national and the date of marriage. Then you are going to need a proof of residence document, which is called a juminhyo, and you actually need one for everyone that resides in your household. So if you are just living with your spouse, you need one for the applicant and one for the Japanese national spouse. Then you're going to need an income tax certificate, which is proof of income for the previous year, called a shotoku shoumeisho. And you're also going to need a tax payment certificate called a nozei shoumeisho. Then you have to obtain a document from your place of employment that proves your monthly or annual income. When you go to the immigration office, you have to submit it, and sometimes they make a copy on your behalf, but it's always best if you could just make a copy beforehand so you can simply submit the whole thing. And the 4 final things you're gonna need are a photo ID sized 3 centimeters by 4 centimeters, your current Zaidu card or permanent resident card, your passport, and you and your spouse's health insurance cards. So including the application, you need to bring 12 different things just to reapply for your extension of period of stay in Japan. Let's briefly go over each document because so many of the applications look so similar. You want to make sure you're filling out the right one. Rule of thumb is to triple check everything and try to have the best handwriting you can. This is what the main application looks like, and like I said before, you can fill it out in English, and it's actually straightforward, so you shouldn't have too many issues with this one. There are 3 pages of this in total, and I know it says photo right here, but I suggest not gluing the 3x4 photo yourself. Just cut it out and clip it on, and they will take care of that for you. This is what the second page looks like. Again, quite straightforward. You shouldn't have any issues here. And this is the third page. You just want to make sure that all of the information lines up with all the documents that you're submitting, like your annual income, your tax payments, stuff like that. Then this is the letter of guarantee that has to be filled out by your Japanese national spouse. It has to be done in Japanese, and it's actually just this one piece of paper. There is not too much on it, but yes, it is very important that you fill this out. And finally, this is the questionnaire that you have to fill out. And I mentioned it before, but there are two different sets of these that you have to submit. One is from the applicant and the other one is for the spouse, but they look exactly the same. So be very mindful. It says right here at the top right area who it is designated for. This is specifically for the applicant. I don't have one that is for the spouse. I forgot to grab one last time, but just know that it is suspiciously very similar. This would be best if you as the applicant fill this out in Japanese. It would impress them, but I do believe it's okay to write it out in English and then maybe have your spouse translate next to it. And it's only 2 pages long, it's not so bad. And this bottom area is where you have to sign, and although it is not required, there is a little bit of a bonus if you can get a stamp or a seal with your name on it. After you submit everything, you'll be given a little envelope that you have to write your name and address in, obviously in Japanese, and they're actually going to use that physical envelope to send you a little slip that says when your card is ready for pickup, and you as the applicant have to physically go back to the immigration office and pick it up yourself. You'll also be given an application acceptance slip, which is actually just like a half a piece of paper, and it will have the stamp of the immigration office, and it'll also have the date, your name, and your ID alphanumeric code. It's usually something like A01-2345. And then you just go home and wait. The processing time is usually between 3 and 5 weeks. It varies depending on, I don't know how many applicants they have at that time, I guess. But sometimes you'll be given a letter that says, oh, we also need you to submit XYZ, so that will prolong the process. But again, if you are able to prepare everything beforehand, that shouldn't happen, and you can cross your fingers for a really quick processing time. But yeah, you just go home and pray and wait for that envelope with your handwriting on it to come back to you. So there are many secret contingencies that can affect how long you are permitted to stay without having to renew. Like having a full-time job, how long you've been paying pension for, whether you have any children, and a weird one that is weighted supposedly rather heavily is if you, as the foreign national, is making a higher income than your Japanese spouse. We have been here for 3 years, and each year we get a 1-year Zairyu card, so we have to keep renewing annually, and it's very annoying. However, I do think we have a better chance this year of getting like a 3-year Zairyu card because my husband has been a full-time employee or a seishain for over a year, and he's been contributing to pension for now over a year. And I feel like all those things are going to kind of help sway the immigration office into giving us the longer duration Zairyu card. But of course, there is absolutely no way of legitimately knowing what the criteria is that determines this. Who knows? Maybe we'll just be lucky. I'm sure your circumstances may be very different. I would say the easiest way to get a visa is to be employed by a Japanese company, which is why so many foreigners who reside in Japan end up teaching English. But remember, if you're from the United States, you're allowed to stay in Japan for 90 whole days as a visitor, so I feel like 90 days is a very lenient amount of time, and you could use those 90 days to test Japan out for yourself, see if it's a good fit for you. However, if you overstay, there are some severe consequences like immediate deportation and not being able to enter Japan again for up to 5 years after deportation. So do not overstay your 90 days as a visitor. Before I end this, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of fun classes for creative and curious people. Right now, I'm watching MKBHD or Marquise Brownlee on there, which is so exciting because I watch his YouTube videos anyway, so it's pretty awesome getting access to even more YouTube and creativity related insight. So whether you're trying to get inspired or learn something new, Skillshare has something for everyone. Right now, the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, and after that, it's only about $10 a month. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found it interesting and informative. If you have any Japan residency related questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. I can't guarantee that I'll know everything, but I will try my best to answer all the questions to the best of my abilities. And I also think there may be some other commenter that may have some insight as well, so feel free to start the conversation down there. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. そんじゃまたね!